Hey David, this is a video reply for you. Basically, I kind of want to give you a little bit more information. So, I simply have a Harbor Freight system, and I just recently moved, so I don't have this kind of tied down the way I want to or set exactly to the sun. But you can see there outside my window that I have three Harbor Freight solar panels there, and I'm gonna put them all the way they need to be. So, no criticisms there from other people that watch it. So I have those three going down, the wires going down. You can see down there. So I put my finger right by it. Those are my two batteries, Marine Deep Cycle batteries. So ultimately, I got three 15-watt panels here, so that's 45 watts. So you can say 45 watts at an instant, 45 watts over an hour, whatever you want to do, and then you would basically add that up over the amount of time. So you got 45 watts. Let's say in the summertime you get sun for 10 hours. I'm exaggerating, but let's say you get 10 hours of direct sun and you're getting 45 watts. You're talking about at 10 hours, you're talking about 450 watts in a day. So you say, okay, well, what am I going to be able to run with that? So if you have a 100-watt light bulb, again to make math simple, a 100-watt light bulb is 100 watts, and I have 450. In theory, you could run that for 4.5 hours. So ultimately, the quick takeaway is that with your 5-watt panel, you're not really going to get much. You can team them with a bunch of other ones, but you're not going to get that far. You need to add a lot more. I mean, I got 45, and that's kind of just scratching the surface, and it's not much. One of the ways what you can do too is you're going to look at appliances and stuff you have and say, okay, well, what do you really want to run and how much do you need? You'll notice that on people's houses and stuff that they have, the whole roof filled with panels and obviously more than 15 watts each. They're probably like 60 to 100 watts each. So you're talking about, 1.5 to 2 kilowatts, which means 1,000, kilowatts, 1,000 watts. So one of the things you want to do too is then look at different appliances and things that you use around your house, and most of them come with a tag. I'll give you an example. So I have this stand-up fan here, just a regular, household fan, and on the tags that come with them on the cord, you'll see it usually on your iron, on a bunch of other appliances, vacuums and stuff. See if I can get this in light here. But basically, it'll say on there, if I can get this in here. Maybe you just have to take my word for it. Turn it away from the sun here. This says on the bottom part here, excuse me, on the bottom part where my finger is, it says 125 volt, 2.2 amp max. So if you're saying 125 volt at 2 amp, at 1 amp, 125 volt is 125 watts. Basically, to get watts, you have to say volts times amps. So if I'm pulling 2 amps there, I'm talking about 250 watts to get that going. All right, so if I were to hook up my two batteries down there to a inverter, because again, DC batteries are 12 volts, and your household appliance and everything running the house is 120 volts. So you have to have an inverter that basically changes it from 12 to 120. I recommend getting somewhere around 1,000 to 2,000 watt inverter, but again, it depends on how much power you can put into your batteries and how much you can get out. If I'm going to put in, with my 45 watt panels per day, I might be able to fill those batteries, which have 750 amp hours in them. So if you divide that from 12 volt, divide that to 100 with the 120, you're talking about divided by 10. So that's 750 is 75. So I have 75 amp hours at 120. You can do the math on that. So ultimately, if I'm going to use an appliance and drain that down, it's going to take maybe a week or so. I'm not doing math here, but you might charge these guys up for a week and drain them down with something big in a couple minutes. I got an inverter that's 400 watts, DC to AC inverter, and I'll do another video to show you that. That inverter is 400 watts. So if I was going to hook up, which I tried just for the heck of it, my shop vac, which is 9 amps, or a regular vacuum that pulls a lot of power, to my 400 watt inverter, hook my inverter up to my batteries, and then plug the plug side of the inverter, plug my appliance in that, try to turn it on, just go bzz, and just shut down because there's not enough power in it to do that. So you gotta say, how much power am I taking from my solar panels? How much power do I really have to harness? And what am I trying to do with this? I've charged my laptop up off of this a bunch of times. I can do that regularly. Maybe run some LED lights, do other minor things with 45 watts. If I really wanted to run anything in my house, I'm talking about, and other people can correct me here, maybe 6 sets of these. So maybe like 200 to 400 watts, or obviously if you can run your whole house, a lot more. But if it's like TV for an hour or this or that, you might get away with 200-300 watts worth of solar panels. So hopefully that's helpful. I don't want to carry this too long. I'll show you my other stuff later in another video.